Welcome to Voices of Fostering, and today on the podcast, we're joined by one of our lovely team from the National Fostering Group, one of our team support workers. So welcome, Julie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So firstly, Julie, just tell us a little bit about your role. What does a team support worker do?
I think primarily I deal with child engagement. So I'll organise events and activities for our children and young people, and in fact, the fostering families during the school holidays. I often do one-to-one support as well. So if we have children perhaps not in full-time education, I will go take them out for the day, or just to give the foster carers that bit more support around that. I do work very closely with our recruitment officer, Tina, who is amazing. So, when we have new carers coming through, I will sort of meet them then and just answer any questions and support however I can. There's a lot of support generally with the team themselves. So be it the the supervising social workers or the team manager. So wherever there's a need identified, I'm there to support.
So do you meet people when they're in the assessment process before they become foster carers?
I've met a few of them because, as I said, our recruitment officer, what she does is she will engage with the carers in assessment and invite them along to events that she's planned for our foster carers, be it an afternoon tea. We've done glass painting, pottery. So they will join us because it gives them a really good insight into what a foster carer's role is. They get to meet me, so I can sort of give them the information about where I will come into their family to support them, their birth children, the children that are living with them. So I always sort of try to make a point of being present as much as I can on those occasions, so that I can meet the families that are coming through.
And what would you say, Julie, is one of the biggest challenges or some of the biggest challenges that foster carers face? And how do you help those, overcome those issues?
Yeah, I think initially with new foster carers, the biggest challenge for them is really sort of adapting to their new role, the new family dynamics, because it does affect the whole family if there are birth children there. So, as I say, I'm in contact with them all through that, whether they've need some help with training, or if there's some attachment issues or behavioural issues. And I think it's just really letting them know that you're not on your own. We've got foster carers that have been fostering with our agency at Children First for 25 years. And we've also, we've got that continual flow, thank goodness, of new carers coming through. So it's really sort of managing their expectations. There's somebody on the end of the phone 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So it's really making them realise that they're not on their own, and we will support as much as, well, whenever we can, really.
Yeah. And I imagine you've worked with so many families now and you've supported so many foster carers. Can you think of a particular scenario, like a story that you can tell us about where, you really have felt, oh, that was a job well done? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to be perfectly, it is a difficult question because, every child's unique, and
Yeah.
I get different things from different support sessions that I do. But I have worked very closely with one of our foster carers that's been with us about 8 or 9 years, and she fundamentally does parent and child placements. So quite often she gets young mums, often under 18. I did get the opportunity to work with one particular mum who was very, very young, a child herself. She was very insecure. She was like a deer in headlights. She was trying to come to terms with what had happened to her, that she'd had a baby herself, and then being in somewhere that wasn't her home. So I sort of had an initial meet with her, and I went on a weekly basis. It started with just, small conversations, really trying to, for me, it's trying to find that common ground with each child. So what they like doing, and that's usually a good way to get them opening up and talking. And in this particular case, for me to work with her over a period of quite a few months, to then sort of step back and see how she'd blossomed, how her confidence had grown. You know, she wasn't able to look people in the eyes when I first met her, and to meet her, to sort of arrive at the house and she'd have the door open ready, you know, eager. So where are we going today? Where are we going today? Because it was important that she was allowed to be a child as well. And, you know, it's important that each child's, you know, they feel seen, they feel heard, and, you know, they've all got their voice. And that really meant a lot to me because we formed such a close bond from that. So that was great.
Yeah, that sounds so rewarding, Julie. Would you say that's one of the best parts of your job?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I get to form really great relationships, you know, and as a support worker for me, there is no typical day. You know, things can change very quickly. Support can be needed. I could be supporting admin 1 minute and then I could be taking a group of children to play virtual gaming, which, you know, is fantastic. So, you know, I get to have fun as well. And I think the children see that because we do form these strong relationships. And during all the events and activities, it's bringing everybody together. And it just feels like a real family thing. You know, we're a small agency, part of the National Fostering Group. So the resources we've got are phenomenal. But being a smaller agency, we do maintain that family feel. And yeah, for me, it's just giving children the best possible outcomes. And I love it. I love it. I really do.
What would you say, Julie, are some of the biggest misconceptions around fostering?
I think quite often I've met with people that are in the assessment process, but I've also met, you know, with family and friends, you know, that have sort of asked, you know, what's it like fostering? Because they may think sometimes that they're too old, or, you know, I work full time, so I can't be a foster carer. And that's not the case at all. You know, it's having the flexibility to be able to support that child, whatever, you know, whichever way they need, with health appointments, professional meetings. Sometimes we've had people, you know, we have quite a few single carers at Children First. So, you know, you don't have to be married. You don't have to be in a relationship. I think fundamentally it's, you know, if you've got a spare room and you've got that desire to make a difference in children's lives, you know, that's what it's all about. So any, you know, any sort of worries they have, you know, we can alleviate that, you know, and get online. You know, National Fostering Group is so visual on social media now. You know, get online, watch the podcast. You know that, you know, I love watching them. They're amazing because you get so many perspectives, and I think that reassures a lot of people.
Yeah. I imagine you're a massive advocate for fostering in your life in general, aren't you, Julie? Like, do you find yourself talking about it a lot in your personal life as well?
Very much so,
Yeah.
yeah, very much so. I can't tell you the amount of times I've said to people, "Oh, but you know, I need to win the lottery and buy this big house, and I just want it," because you know, you want to help in any way that you can. And I'm really lucky because all, you know, my family and friends, they are really interested in what I'm doing, and you know, everybody sort of tells you on a daily basis, "You're doing such an amazing job," and I feel that, you know, I do feel that I'm making a difference, and
Yeah.
I'm always out in the high street putting leaflets in the dentists and the doctors and in the supermarket. So
So when you say winning the lottery and buying a big house, do you mean like putting foster children in it?
lots of children. Yeah,
Oh,
I'd love it.
that's
You know,
amazing.
I mean, you know, I do live on my own. You know, I've got a 1 bedroom apartment. Um, but I just, you know, I just think it's amazing, you know, the opportunity to foster, and, you know,
Yeah.
the foster carers that we've got, they're phenomenal people. They really are.
And I think it's important as well that people see the staff who work for the National Fostering Group, like yourself, you know, it's not just a job to them. It really is, you know, it's your life, isn't it? It means an awful lot to you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And like I say, we've got, being a smaller agency, we have got, a really cohesive team. And it's great because we all know each other as work colleagues, but also on a personal level. So I think we've all within the team formed our own, these special bonds and friendships. And that plays out into the foster carers. Quite often they'll pop in for a coffee if they're, in the area, or sometimes just call up just for a chat and a catch up, So it really is, it's a huge part of my life. Yeah. I'm really proud of it. I really am.
So you should be. And finally, Julie, if there was anybody watching or listening who was thinking about, becoming a foster carer, but they're maybe just sort of teetering on the edge, how would you encourage them to go for it?
Well, again, like I said before, National Fostering Group now is so visual on social media, give us a ring, ring National Fostering Group, go online, watch the podcasts, watch the interviews. Any member of our team are always there to give advice or, anything like that. So I think if you feel that it's something within you that you want to make a positive change, fostering is the best way to do it. It really is.
Julie, it's been so fantastic speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time today. And you just a fantastic example of when somebody makes that step, they get in touch with the National Fostering Group, they're going to meet lovely, passionate people like yourself that are going to help them along the way on their journey. So thank you so much, Julie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Voices of Fostering. If you'd like to find out more, head online and search National Fostering Group and make this the year you foster.